You have probably heard this advice before. If you want to lose belly fat, just skip dinner. It sounds logical. Fewer calories, less food, less fat. But if that were the whole truth, why is it that after 14 days without dinner, some people see their waist shrink, while others feel exhausted, sleep worse, and still carry the same belly fat? The reason is simple, but rarely explained. Your body does not burn fat based on discipline or willpower. It reacts to insulin, circadian rhythm, and stress signals. And insulin does not switch off just because you decided to stop eating in the evening. In this video, you will learn what actually happens inside your body when you skip dinner for 14 days. How insulin changes. When belly fat, especially visceral fat, begins to respond, and why the same habit can lead to completely different outcomes. No miracle formulas, just the biology your body follows, whether you know it or not. If you are over 40, skipping dinner often feels like a last logical step. You may already eat less sugar, try to walk more, maybe even exercise regularly. Yet the belly stays. The waistline feels stubborn. Energy drops in the afternoon, sleep becomes lighter, and blood markers like fasting glucose or blood pressure slowly creep up. So the idea of removing dinner sounds clean and disciplined. No evening calories, no late snacking. More time for the body to burn fat. Many people try it for a few days, then for a week, and some commit to 2 full weeks. But this is where frustration begins. Some people feel lighter after a few days. Others feel cold, irritable, and strangely more hungry the next morning. Some lose weight quickly, only to regain it the moment dinner returns. And many ask the same quiet question. If I am eating less, why is my belly not responding? The problem is that most advice treats the body like a simple calculator. Calories in, calories out. But your body is not a calculator. It is a hormonal system that follows rhythms, priorities, and survival rules that were shaped long before modern eating schedules. Belly fat, especially visceral fat around the organs, is not just stored energy. It is hormonally active tissue. It responds strongly to insulin, cortisol, and sleep quality. And these signals are influenced not only by what you eat, but when you eat, how stressed you are, and how well you recover at night. Many people skip dinner while unknowingly doing 3 things that cancel the effect. They eat too little protein earlier in the day. They rely on caffeine late in the afternoon. And they underestimate how strongly poor sleep pushes the body back into fat storage mode. This is why skipping dinner works beautifully for some and fails completely for others. The habit itself is neutral. The outcome depends on what happens around it. To understand whether skipping dinner for 14 days can truly lower insulin and reduce belly fat, you first need to understand what your body is trying to protect. Only then does the real mechanism become visible. To understand what skipping dinner for 14 days really does, you need to follow the body step by step, hour by hour. Not as a rule, but as a biological sequence. On the first evening without dinner, nothing dramatic happens. Your body has done this before. Overnight fasting is normal. What changes is the length of the fast and the timing. About 4 to 6 hours after your last meal, insulin begins to fall. This is not fat burning yet. It is simply the signal that incoming energy has stopped. Your liver responds first. It opens its glycogen stores, releasing glucose to keep blood sugar stable during the night. In the first 2 to 3 days, this is the main pattern. Insulin is slightly lower in the evening. Glycogen is used earlier. Fat tissue is mostly waiting. This is why many people feel lighter, but do not see visible belly fat reduction yet. The body is adjusting its signals, not changing its structure. Around day 4 to 7, a shift begins for many people. The liver learns that evenings are consistently quiet. Insulin levels at night stay lower for longer. This matters because insulin is not just a sugar hormone. It is a storage hormone. As long as insulin stays elevated, fat cells remain locked. With lower insulin during the night, fat cells begin to release small amounts of fatty acids. This process is called lipolysis. It does not feel dramatic. You do not feel fat leaving. But metabolically, something important is happening. The body is learning that it can rely more on stored energy between dinner time and breakfast. This is also the phase where results begin to diverge. If you sleep well, eat enough protein during the day, and keep stress low, insulin sensitivity improves. Your body needs less insulin to manage the same meals. Belly fat, especially visceral fat around the organs, starts to respond because it is highly sensitive to insulin signals. But if stress hormones rise, the story changes. Cortisol, the main stress hormone, can increase when the body feels underfueled or poorly rested. High cortisol tells the body that energy is uncertain. In that state, fat burning slows, even if you are eating less. This is why some people feel wired at night, wake up early, and crave sugar in the morning after skipping dinner. By days 10 to 14, something more stable can emerge. Insulin baseline may be lower than before you started. Morning blood sugar often improves. Appetite becomes calmer for some people, and even if the scale barely moves, the waistline can shrink because visceral fat is being reduced. This is the part most people misunderstand. The body may not become lighter, but it can become metabolically healthier. Less pressure around the organs. Better insulin signaling. A quieter hormonal environment at night. Skipping dinner does not force fat loss. It creates a window where fat loss becomes possible. Whether that window is used depends on sleep, stress, and how you support your body during the day. In the next part, you will see how to turn this window into a real metabolic advantage without exhausting yourself or sabotaging your hormones. Skipping dinner only helps if the rest of the day is designed to support lower insulin and stable stress hormones. Otherwise, the body simply compensates and protects belly fat even more. This is where most people unknowingly fail. The first priority is your last real meal of the day. If you plan to skip dinner, your afternoon meal becomes metabolically important. It should not be light or rushed. It should be structured to calm insulin and prevent cortisol from rising later in the evening. Protein is the anchor. Adequate protein in the afternoon sends a signal of safety to the body. It reduces hunger hormones and helps preserve muscle tissue. For most adults over 40, this means a solid portion, not a symbolic one. When protein is too low, the body interprets dinner skipping as energy scarcity and increases stress hormones. Fiber comes next. Vegetables, legumes, or other high-fiber foods slow digestion and blunt glucose spikes. This keeps insulin from rising sharply in the late afternoon, which makes the evening fast much easier. Without enough fiber, blood sugar can fall too quickly, leading to restlessness and cravings at night. The timing of caffeine matters more than most people think. Coffee or strong tea after mid-afternoon can interfere with sleep depth, even if you fall asleep easily. Poor sleep raises cortisol the next morning, which directly opposes fat loss in the abdominal area. Skipping dinner while sabotaging sleep cancels the entire benefit. Movement in the early evening is one of the most underestimated tools. A calm walk after your last meal improves insulin sensitivity without stressing the nervous system. This small habit tells your muscles to absorb glucose, allowing insulin levels to fall earlier in the night. Intense training late in the evening often does the opposite and keeps stress hormones elevated. Hydration and electrolytes are another quiet factor. When insulin drops, the body releases more sodium and water. This can cause fatigue, headaches, or dizziness in the first week. A pinch of salt in water or mineral-rich foods earlier in the day can prevent this without breaking the fast. Sleep is the final gatekeeper. Deep sleep is when insulin sensitivity is restored and fat metabolism is coordinated. Skipping dinner, but going to bed stressed, scrolling late, or sleeping 5 hours turns a metabolic strategy into a hormonal burden. When these elements align, skipping dinner becomes surprisingly calm. Hunger fades earlier. Evenings feel lighter. And over time, the body learns that night is not a feeding window, but a recovery window. In the next section, it becomes important to address who should not use this approach and how to recognize when the body is pushing back instead of adapting. Skipping dinner is not a universal solution, and it should never be treated as a test of discipline. There are clear situations where this approach can do more harm than good. If you have diabetes and use insulin or blood sugar lowering medication, skipping dinner can increase the risk of nighttime hypoglycemia. The same caution applies if you have a history of eating disorders, are pregnant, or are dealing with chronic sleep deprivation. In these cases, altering meal timing without medical guidance is not advisable. Even for healthy adults, there are signals that should not be ignored. Persistent dizziness, rapid heartbeat, irritability that lasts for days, or waking up very early with anxiety are signs that stress hormones are dominating the response. When this happens, fat loss is unlikely and hormonal balance is being strained. A common question is how long it takes to see results. Metabolic changes often appear before visual ones. Improvements in fasting glucose or appetite regulation can happen within 1 to 2 weeks. Visible changes in belly fat usually take longer and depend on sleep quality and overall consistency rather than strict fasting alone. Another concern is muscle loss. Skipping dinner does not automatically lead to muscle loss if protein intake during the day is sufficient and basic resistance or strength activity is maintained. Muscle loss becomes a risk when calorie intake is chronically too low or protein is neglected. Many people also ask whether exercise is required. Movement helps, but more is not always better. Gentle, regular activity supports insulin sensitivity. Excessive training combined with dinner skipping can increase cortisol and stall progress. The most important rule is this: skipping dinner should make your body calmer, not more tense. When it works, hunger is manageable, sleep improves, and energy becomes more stable. When it does not, the body is clearly communicating that something needs adjustment. Understanding these limits protects you from turning a potentially useful tool into a source of metabolic stress. Skipping dinner for 14 days is not about forcing fat loss or proving self-control. It is about restoring a rhythm your body recognizes. When insulin is allowed to fall at night, when sleep is protected, and when stress stays low, belly fat becomes less defended. Not because you fought your body, but because you stopped sending it the wrong signals. For some people, this approach creates a noticeable shift within 2 weeks. For others, it reveals what truly blocks progress: poor sleep, hidden stress, or undernourishment during the day. In both cases, the lesson is the same. Sustainable health is not built on extremes, but on understanding how your body responds. If you have tried skipping dinner, share what changed for you. Did your sleep improve? Did your appetite feel calmer in the morning? Or did you notice signs of stress instead? Your experience helps others see the full picture, not just the promises. If this kind of clear, biology-based explanation helps you, subscribe to the channel and watch the next video, where we explore another common habit that people believe burns belly fat, but often does the opposite. Your health is a long-term investment. The more you understand the signals, the less you need to rely on rules.